All right, so we're still talking about game theory, right? So last time we talked about game theory, we talked about two different kinds of games that we encounter. One is simultaneous games where everybody's making choices at the same time. We can write down a nice little table for that. We go row by row and column by column, circling our best responses. So we find an area where both best responses are circled at the same time. And then we have our Nash equilibrium. We also talked about sequential games where people sort of take turns making decisions. You get to see what people have done before you have to make a choice. And then you can work backwards in order to find the optimal or the best response in each case, which gets you to the Nash equilibrium that way. So game theory is a very flexible thing, right? It can really be modified to suit a whole bunch of different strategic scenarios. Those are sort of two basic categories of games, but there's lots of detail within them. One other strain that I'm going to sort of introduce here, and this is sort of, again, this sort of sits within. You can have asymmetric information games either sequentially or simultaneously, all that sort of thing, is asymmetric information. So what is asymmetric information? So there's a lot that we don't know about the world. All the games that I've shown you so far, in fact, all of the models that I've shown you so far, assume that we sort of know what's going on in the world, right? That we have all the information. Maybe we don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but we have an idea, right? In the supply and demand model that we covered, right? There wasn't anything in the model that was like, well, we would say something like, okay, maybe the crops failed, that's a supply shift to the left. We didn't say there's a 10% chance that the crops will fail next year and a 20% chance that they won't, a 30% chance that it'll be better than last year, like none of that, right? There was no uncertainty baked into the model. The closest we got to uncertainty was in game theory, where we said, we don't know exactly what the other person's going to do, but we're going to try to figure it out using the Nash equilibrium concept. Other than that, we've sort of had perfect information. So there's two major ways in which we could have imperfect information, where we could be lacking some information that would be really relevant to how we make decisions. One is just not knowing the outcome of an uncertain thing, right? That happens all the time. Right? We don't know whether the stock is going to go up or down. We don't know whether we're going to win the lottery or not. We don't know a lot of things, right? But importantly, and this turns out to be a really key distinction, those are things that nobody knows, right? Nobody knows whether a given lottery ticket is going to win, right? Nobody knows whether the stocks can go up or down unless they have some sort of insider information, right? So nobody knows those things, and that's one way of dealing with decisions and dealing with decisions where nobody knows the outcome. And if you go take intermediate micro, you'll deal with a lot of that stuff. What we're going to talk about is cases where somebody knows information and somebody else does not know information. That's the asymmetry that we're talking about here. The information here is asymmetric because somebody knows something and somebody else does not. And this turns out to play out very, very differently from cases where everybody knows something or where nobody knows something. There's clearly going to be an imbalance here in how people behave. Show you an example. So that's a case where we have asymmetric information, right? One person knows something and somebody else does not. And you can imagine the sort of game that was being played before this whole scene. Before that scene happened, right, they had to negotiate a contract, right? And the contract that they negotiated had some stipulation in about what happens if there's some sort of tragedy, right? But at the point they were negotiating it, they should have taken into account that when some tragedy happens, somebody's going to know something that we're not going to know, right, as the company, right? And in this case, clearly they didn't pay that much attention to how they would figure it out. But you can imagine how they would want to incorporate that into their negotiation, right, into the game that they'd be playing about how they decide what to offer and whether he's going to accept the contract, right? So knowing that sometime in the future he's going to have more information than we will is going to affect how we negotiate a contract with him. It's going to affect all sorts of different kinds. So let's play a game ourselves. So this is not the same as the game that you just saw or that I suggested that you would see. But here's what's going to happen. Forget the part about cards. That's from a different game. Sorry, I copied that, pasted that in. So half of the room is going to be buyers and half the room is going to be sellers. Okay. And what you're going to do is, if you are a seller, at the beginning of the round, you're going to decide whether the merchandise that you are going to sell is going to be high quality or low quality. And there's nothing wrong with selling low quality, right? There's plenty of low quality goods out there, and we buy them sometimes, right? So you're going to write it down. So you're going to commit at the beginning of the round to either selling high quality goods or low quality. Right? You're going to write it down and you're going to hide it. You're not going to be allowed to show anybody else what you have chosen. Right? Even if you want to, you can't do it. So you're going to choose whether you're selling high quality or low quality. And there's going to be a marginal cost to you of producing these different kinds of goods. If you've decided to produce high quality merchandise, every unit you sell costs you $6,000 to make. If you choose to make low quality merchandise, it only costs you $3,000. Okay. All right. So that's the seller side. On the buyer side, you can go shopping. Right. You can buy as many units as you want from different sellers. And you can ask the sellers, hey, are you selling high quality merchandise or are you selling low quality merchandise? And they can tell you, they don't necessarily have to tell the truth. Okay. So you go shopping, you try to buy high quality or low quality, and then you can agree on a price with them based on your marginal valuations. You value the high quality goods at $7,000. You only value the low quality goods at $3,500. So each of them, since you value it more than the cost, right? You value a high quality good at $7,000, which is more than $6,000. You value the low quality at $3,500, which is more than the $3,000 that it costs to make. So both of these can be, sales that are efficiency improved. So you're going to find somebody, you're going to ask them what quality that they're making, you can agree on price. And then once you find that price, you're going to go report your sales on this website. Okay. And when it's reported, we're going to want the seller to do the reporting, because you're also going to write down when you report whether the actual quality was high or low, which might not be what you told them it was. Right? Does this make sense? All right, so I'm going to assign sellers and buyers. Apologies to Zoom, there's not going to be a whole lot that you can do for this one. All right, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, and seller. I already got it, right? Yeah. Great. Okay, so right now it looks like we have 3 sales. All of them were claimed to be high quality goods, and 2 of them actually were. One of them was not. Oh, hey, see, there's a hint maybe that you weren't getting a high quality good, because they accepted a price below the marginal cost of the high quality good. So you knew they were going to lose money on that one, unless it was actually low quality. All right, so we're gonna do this again. Let's go ahead and let's just switch the roles. So if you were a buyer last time, now you're a seller. If you were a seller last time, now you're a buyer. All right. Okay. Interesting turn. Okay. So I think this was the last one of the last round. So now we have 4 sales in. All of them claim to be high quality. Only one of them actually was. Everything else was low quality. Go ahead and tell your buyer what they actually bought at this point. Did anybody have the experience of offering a high quality good and having the other person basically not be interested because you're trying to offer a high quality good? There you go.
There was someone walking around. Yeah, he was walking around me. No.
Yeah, so interesting dynamic, right? We have fewer sales here, by the way. Notice, it's possible there's some more coming in, but we had, I think, like 8 or so sales last time. Now we have 4, and it looks like some sales are just not happening because somebody's offering a high quality good. Somebody else maybe doesn't believe them. You just walk away. Let's do this one more time. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, so it looks. I think we ended here. I think this is the new crop. So interesting. So we have all honesty, but a lot more low quality sales. We only had 1 claimed low quality sale before this, and now we have 2 in this one row, in this one round alone. That's interesting. So we have more low quality sales going on than our honest low quality sales. We did get some honesty in our high quality goods as well, so that happens. Yeah.
Above it, I think are part of it.
I think these were before because there's see the gap in the time.
But they're both 07.
Oh, 07. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, look at that.
That's 6,800 is mine.
There we go. There we go. Lots of honesty this round. Lots of honesty this round. Not so much last round, but a lot this round. But also a better showing from the low quality, the honest low quality sellers as well. All right. So apologies to Zoom. You couldn't do any of that. But we're back. What happened in this game? So there was a lack of information about the merchandise, right? So not just that, you didn't know. So there's no way to distinguish good from bad, right? If the seller could have shown you what they'd written down, right, then what would have happened in that game? Well, all the people who decided to sell high quality merchandise, they'd just be like, hey, I actually am selling high quality merchandise, look what I wrote down. And all the low quality people would be like, yeah, I sell high quality merchandise too. And you would just not believe them, right? Because why wouldn't they just show it to you, right? So the fact that they wouldn't be able to show it to you would let you distinguish between the two of them. But in this case, the fact that high quality sellers could not show you the fact that they were high quality meant that it was possible for the low quality sellers to pretend to be high quality, right? Which led to some dishonest sales. It also led, as time went on, to more low quality sales happening, right? In this particular market, as I designed it, there's a lot more benefit to be gained in the high quality market. There's a difference of 1,000 between the marginal benefit for the high quality good and the marginal cost, right? So there's a whole $1,000 to negotiate in. You're basically splitting up $1,000 between you and between the buyer and the seller. In the low quality market, there's only 500, right? So there's less of a pot to split up. But as time went on, we had more people opting for this smaller pot because you don't have to worry about being lied to. Like, why would anybody lie about selling you a low quality good? At least you know what you're getting, right? So this usually does a couple of things. One, it makes buyers less likely to pay the price for high quality, right? You might get what we saw in that second round. People were walking away from high quality goods because they didn't believe they were real. We didn't check how the prices changed. I guess we could see how the prices changed, see if they were shifting over time. Let's see here. So round one, let's see. Not a whole lot of change. We actually saw some really high prices in this last round here, which is interesting. But often what will happen is that you see the price of the high quality good going down over time as people become more and more aware that it's possible that they were being lied to about the high quality, which also it makes it more likely that sellers are going to start offering low quality and higher amounts, right? Because why try to sell high quality, even if you're being honest about it, if nobody's going to believe you, right? So, we're in a case where this is a classroom situation. We all know each other. We see each other with some regularity. But, if you're just out in the market, if you're on eBay or something like that, you don't know who this person is, and they're sort of faceless, and you're never going to see them again. It's a little bit harder to believe if they tell you that it's high quality that you would in fact believe them, right? So you might be less likely to try to opt for the high quality option, which means that people are just going to stop providing it. At least honestly, at some point, all of the high quality options are going to be fakes. Because why would if you suspect that all the high quality options are fakes, why would you ever be willing to pay a high quality price? And then suddenly, everybody just knows it,